Everyone stopped dancing. The billionaire stood frozen. All eyes were on the black waitress. And the little boy she was dancing with. No one expected her to take his hand, but what happened next changed the boy's life and shattered the walls around a father's heart. The Montgomery Foundation Gala was not just any event, it was the event. Held at the iconic Crown Regent Hotel, the ballroom was soaked in golden light, with chandeliers that shimmered like frozen fire above. Polished oak floors. Strings of violins played softly in the background. Waiters in tuxedos weaved through the crowd, and every guest seemed like royalty dressed in gowns and tuxes, sipping champagne and exchanging polite laughter. The air buzzed with chatter about stock markets, mergers, politics, and power. But at one table right in the center of all that noise sat a silence that screamed louder than anything else in the room. 10-year-old Lucas Montgomery, son of the billionaire real estate mogul Charles Montgomery, sat perfectly still in his chair, hands folded, eyes downward. Lucas had been diagnosed at birth with a neurological disorder that made physical coordination difficult and speech slow. He wasn't paralyzed, but every movement took effort. Most nights he didn't even try. His legs were functional, but his spirit had been conditioned to stay seated. He'd grown up surrounded by luxury, yet completely starved of connection. His father, Charles, towered in stature, commanding every room he walked into. He wasn't cruel, just distracted. He was always busy, always somewhere else. Charles attended galas like this to fundraise, network, shake hands, and give big speeches. Bringing Lucas was more about image than involvement. He thought exposure to high society would help his son adapt. But Lucas didn't need exposure. He needed attention. So there he sat, surrounded by hundreds, yet utterly alone, his plate untouched. His eyes watching the dancers, but never daring to dream of joining them. And then she walked past, not a guest, not a donor, just a waitress. But in that moment, she saw something no one else did. Her name was Danielle. To most people in the room, she was invisible, just another uniform in a sea of service staff. But Danielle moved differently. Even as she carried trays and cleared dishes, there was a rhythm in her step, a softness in her hands, a quiet grace that couldn't be taught. It wasn't just how she worked, it was how she carried herself, like a melody humming just beneath the surface. Danielle had once trained to be a dancer. She dreamed of center stages, flowing gowns, and curtain calls. But life had different plans. Her mother fell ill, bills piled up, dreams were put on hold. So she traded ballet slippers for non-slip shoes and began waiting tables to support her younger siblings. Still, the dancer in her never died. That night, as she cleared glasses from the Montgomery table, something caught her eye. A boy, small, still, and silent. Lucas. While the rest of the world spun in conversation and music, he sat like a forgotten statue, his eyes locked on the dance floor. Not blinking, not speaking, just watching. And Danielle saw it, the way his fingers curled slightly, as if holding invisible music, the way his foot twitched like it wanted to move. And more than anything, the loneliness in his eyes. Not one guest had noticed, not even his father. She leaned in, crouching to his level. In the softest, most genuine voice, she asked, "Do you want to try a step?" Lucas didn't speak. He didn't nod right away. But after a moment, he blinked, then looked at her hand. And slowly, so slowly, he nodded. That one nod was the first step in a dance that would change everything. Danielle gently extended her hand, and Lucas hesitated. His eyes darted around the room, dozens of strangers in glittering gowns and black suits, all too busy or too important to notice him. But Danielle waited, not rushing, not pushing, just offering. Lucas's small hand slowly reached out and touched hers. And with that, she guided him carefully, respectfully, to the edge of the ballroom floor. As they stepped onto the polished wood, a few nearby guests turned. Then more. Within seconds, the room began to buzz. "Wait, is that Montgomery's son? What is she doing? Someone stop her before she embarrasses him." Danielle heard the whispers. She felt the eyes, but she didn't care. She knelt slightly, looked Lucas right in the eyes, and said something no one had ever told him before. "You lead, I'll follow." 4 simple words. But to Lucas they landed like thunder. He'd always been the one carried, pushed, spoken for. No one had ever let him lead. He took a shaky breath and moved his foot forward, just a small step. Then another. Danielle matched his pace, not guiding, just following. Every movement was careful but full of meaning. It wasn't about perfection. It was about permission. Permission to try. Permission to be seen. By now, the room had gone silent. Music still played, but no one danced. Every eye turned to the boy and the waitress. And at the far end of the room, mid-conversation, Charles Montgomery paused. He turned, confused by the sudden silence, and what he saw made his world stop. His son, on the dance floor. Not being held back, but leading. And for the first time in years, Lucas was smiling. Charles Montgomery had stood in hundreds of ballrooms. He'd spoken at Fortune 500 conferences, met with world leaders, and negotiated billion-dollar deals without flinching. But now, he stood frozen, just a few feet from the dance floor, watching something he couldn't explain. His son, Lucas, was dancing, not flawlessly, not quickly, but freely, and more importantly, happily. Charles's jaw tightened, his mind racing. This wasn't planned. It wasn't rehearsed. And it certainly wasn't dignified from Montgomery. Why was this waitress interfering? Why was everyone watching? But then he saw Lucas's face. Not the usual blank stare or tired expression. No doubt his son's eyes were lit up. They sparkled with a joy Charles didn't recognize, because he had never seen it before. And suddenly, the weight of years hit him. Charles wasn't watching a performance. He wasn't watching someone trying to impress. He was watching a boy, his own son, finally being seen, not pitied, not protected, but included. The music slowly faded, and what followed wasn't silence. It was applause, not the kind given to power or money, but the kind reserved for courage. Lucas turned. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He simply held out his hand to his father, palm up, small and trembling, and in that moment, it wasn't a plea for help. It was an invitation. An invitation to join. Charles hesitated. His pride wrestled with his heart. Then quietly, he stepped forward. He reached out and took his son's hand. It was warm, real, alive. And in that one gesture, the billionaire who thought he had everything finally realized he had been missing the one thing that truly mattered all along. Connection, love, and the courage to follow his child's lead. The next morning, the headlines exploded across local and national news. Billionaire's son dances for the first time, led by Waitress. Montgomery gala ends in beautiful surprise. One step changed everything. Clips of the moment had been caught on guests' phones and quickly went viral. The story wasn't about money or fame. It was about humanity. Reporters called the hotel nonstop. Blogs and influencers posted Danielle's name, praising her courage and kindness. Strangers sent letters. Some even showed up at the hotel just to meet the woman who helped the boy dance. But amidst all the buzz, Charles Montgomery wasn't focused on press or praise. He was thinking about her. Danielle. He had to find her. When he did, she was back at work, wiping down tables like any other day. Charles asked to speak with her privately. Over coffee in his office, he learned the truth. Danielle had trained for years as a ballet dancer. She once dreamed of performing on big stages. But when her mother passed and her siblings needed care, she gave it all up without hesitation. Charles sat quietly for a moment, then said, "I've spent my life building towers. You helped build my son's confidence with a single step. I have money, but you have heart." He didn't just offer her a better job. He created something bigger. Charles launched the Lucas Montgomery Foundation for Inclusive Dance, a program designed to give children of all abilities a place to move, express, and lead. Danielle was named the foundation's first director, and Lucas? He now dances every Saturday, his smile brighter than ever. Danielle leads him. Sometimes he leads her, and every so often, his father joins them on the floor. 3 steps, 1 rhythm. A new beginning. So next time you see someone sitting alone, what if your small gesture could be the turning point in their life? Would you take that first step like Danielle did? Let us know in the comments. What would you have done in that moment? And if this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories like this.